in. Look what happens to the ones that arrive late. Verse 11. Later, the others came up and said, "Sir, sir, open the door for us." But he replied, "I tell you the truth, I don't know you." Now that would be a nightmare. To hear from the bridegroom, "I don't know you." They knew nothing about what would come because they didn't know him. Many Christians today are hearing bits and pieces about Revelation's story, but they think that they're not going to have to live through it. I tell you today, how can any of us be so arrogant and so prideful to say that we are ready to get taken today without any test of our faith? We don't know persecution and suffering in this generation. We don't. That Jesus is just going to take us because we've been to church enough times? I mean, what would be the judgment on why we get to be lifted out? It's as solid as the tooth fairy. And it is time that we wake up and that we realize there is a time of testing coming upon the world. And you and I, if we are alive when day one happens, we are not going to escape it. And for many, it's going to be their worst nightmare come true. It is going to be reality. Life will never be the same. I'll be speaking to that in the next message titled Shaken to the Core. We'll get into the particulars about what's going to happen. But I have to tell you, when you stand before your Maker, you're not going to be able to say, "Well, my preacher told me, my grandma told me, my friends told me, they studied their Bible." It's not going to be okay. It is not going to be okay. And when you understand Revelation's story properly, dear ones, let me tell you a nightmare. Let me make the nightmare even bigger. Those that profess to know Jesus are going to be tested first. Yes, you and I. Those of us that are carrying our Bibles around. We're going to be tested first. You see, there's one requirement for going to heaven, and that is that we love the Lord our God with all our heart, mind, soul, and strength. No, you and I aren't capable of that, but the Spirit is capable of giving us that. That's the oil that we need. He gives us what we need to be there. And then when the Father sees us, he sees Christ. Perfection. Wow. Don't miss out and be deceived. Don't be one of the people that are yelling out in terror when the world is shaken, literally, to its core. There are many people listening to this message that are going to be angry at God for shaking their world, and they will never get over it. They believed the lie. They bought into the lie. And it kept them from being prepared. You see, you can't conjure up a relationship with God in 30 minutes. I'll say it again. You cannot conjure up a relationship with God in 30 minutes. And don't tell me that you're going to have the thief on the cross experience, because that's not you. You and I know God. We profess to be God. We are worshiping with other believers corporately. We profess to know God. We will be tested first, and we will be squeezed in suffering. And we will reveal what is on the inside. And what will you reveal about you? Have you been watching and waiting? Have you been giving yourself to the Lord in the inner circle? And do you have your ark ready to go? because you invested and you prepared and you have the thing that you need the most. You have God. He lives in you. He lives above you. He is beside you. You trust him. He is faithful. And that ark is perfect trust in God. That is what you and I need to get through the time of tribulation. So I ask you, in your time with God, what is it that he is calling you to right now? What is he asking you to get rid of? What is he trying to bring in? Listen carefully, because the evil one that Jesus prayed about, he is fighting for your attention and my attention. And he will do anything to distract us and make us procrastinators, as in the days of Noah. May you and I not be part of the ones that knew nothing because we didn't know the most important one and we didn't have a relationship with him. May we be serious about our relationship with God, because the time for these things to happen is very near.